Happy Monday, everyone. I hope you are doing well and staying safe and feeling great, and all those that you love are doing the same. I think we're going to enjoy a beautiful, another hot day today, so that's good. Today's makeup tutorial is I'm going to go for a mod look, so like a 1960s mod look. So I hope you enjoy. We're just going to have some fun with this. Take off the glasses, of course. Oh, look at me. I can't see. I'm gonna take my trusty primer. And just lay it out over the eyes. All across the eyes. There we go. It's stressful. Monday morning, knowing that Corona's on the rise, and all the posts that I see on the news and the Facebooks and the social media feeds. So I don't actually watch the news. It doesn't necessarily mean that I think watching news is wrong. I do think that watching news and watching video of news has an extra layer of production to it that impacts your emotions and your feelings. So there's music, there's colors, so the facts might be right on certain things, but then you're also still having an emotional response because of those things. So like, I'm always telling my parents, don't watch the news. Like, you can read the news, look for sources and things like that when you read the news, but watching the news, even if it's correct, there is a layer of emotional impact that happens. So from watching the news, so it hits you harder. It impacts you more to watch the news a lot of times. Still, I'll read my news articles. I like to go to the New York Times. I like to go to the Washington Post. The Atlantic has been doing some fantastic writing about Corona. Local news sources as well. As I'm looking at the news, I'm trying to see, what sources they refer to. If they double check their sources, who are the experts they refer to and things like that, and what is the qualifications of those people. Understanding that's important in terms of understanding what the news says. So if it's talking about a study, does it mention how the study is set up, how the study works? Has it been peer reviewed, in terms of looking at the science? Those are all things that I go and look at. I admit that I am not a researcher. I don't have time to go and research all the sources out, but I try and look and see at what the journalists are doing in terms, and I just put like a light color over, just a light color across the whole eye, and it's not sparkly enough, so I'm gonna add some sparkle across the whole eye. So sources are important. Who they're looking to for their information, what kind of expertise they have. And that's what skilled journalists are good at, is identifying sources and looking at those kinds of things. They might not be a medical doctor, but they know how to go to the correct sources. And consistently across the board, New York Times is fantastic reporting. Same with Washington Post. Go to The Hill, go to Atlantic. I've been very impressed with Teen Vogue. Very impressed. They do a lot of opinion pieces, but they try and back it up with things. So I've been very impressed with that kind of writing. And I read a lot. And yeah, I look to the doctors. I look to the medical professionals. I'm not a medical expert. I might be, have a master's degree in critical theory and communication, which means studying media and being critical of media. So yeah, I might have that kind of experience in terms of understanding journalism and good sources and things like that. But I know, we've got to go look to the doctors who are doing the studies and really answering these questions. So for a mod look, I'm just gonna go across with a darker color. I went for purple because that's like one of my favorites. And I'm just gonna go into this like curve. Some people have like a nice good curve. I don't, but I'm just gonna go right there in that curve. I'm just gonna go right there in that curve for the mod look. Right there. And it went up high. That's okay. We're just gonna blend right here in this curve. Some people have a nice deep curve, some people don't. I don't have a deep curve. So yeah, those are sources that I tend to stick to. When it's an opinion piece, they label it as opinion, but then, you know, they set out the argument and the facts that they're using and the sources for that fact. So again, they do good work, good journalistic work, to go towards finding information on these things. So yes. And, you know, the reporting is scary. The numbers are scary. We're going up. There goes Luna. She says it's scary. Yeah, listen to her. She's like, it's scary. It's scary. It's scary in terms of that we don't have control. I talked a lot about control yesterday. It's true. We're not in control. The models change, the numbers change. We don't have all the answers. The scientists don't have all the answers. They don't have a complete understanding of this disease. They don't. And most scientists, any scientist who says they have an answer is probably wrong. They don't. They're learning. They're studying. They're investigating. They are trying to figure out exactly. And they learn new things, which, you know, modifies, it's on my nose, modifies, you know, what recommendations and things that they have based on new learnings every time they learn something new. So some of the new learnings that I've been seeing currently is that it's not a lung disease. It might be a vascular disease or a blood disease. It's impacting more organs. They're still studying longer term impact. So you might not just die, but you'll have longer term impact from these disease. Like, so I don't know. I'm just blending. No, I'm just blending. Just blending. In fact, brush is taking too long. I'm using my finger now, and I'm just blending. Blend, blend, blend. So, people want concrete answers. There are no concrete answers at this time. Science is still studying and learning. I mean, at first they didn't know it was going to be, you know, how it was transferred, and then respiratory. And now there's some evidence of aerosolization in poorly ventilated spaces. These are all learnings as they grow and come to understand it better. This is a new virus. It's only been in our population since the end of last year, so nobody knows what the long-term impacts of this disease will be. We don't have enough time to know what the long-term impacts of these disease will be. We just don't. It's not there. It's not, and this is a tissue. It's not toilet paper. I'm not putting slivers in my eye. There's so much learning. And that's why I say be cautious. You know, the theories have been out, or ideas about whether or not masks work has been, you know, not 100%, you know, the same messaging from our experts and our doctors recommending it. You know, at first there was shortages of PPE. There still is shortages. I just read an article that says there's still shortages of PPE for our nurses, you know, our frontline doctors and nurses and respiratory therapists and such like that. So there's still, you know, shortages of supplies. And so they're concerned that, you know, if people are taking up the masks, they might use up their supplies. But the thing is, as soon as it becomes known as an aerosolized or a respiratory, an airborne type virus, there is studies that show that masks in some ways have impact because they control the airflow of what's going on, so that it keeps your air closer to your body. There is, after 1918, even the Spanish flu, people wore masks. Masks were important because it cut down the flow. And then you have Japan, which became culturally, which became part of the culture in Japan. Okay, I'm gonna do big eyeliner, mod. I'm going with the big eyeliner. It became cultural in Japan after the Spanish flu in 1918, I'm sorry, for the Japanese population to wear masks, and to continue to this day to wear masks, to not, not just the 1919 flu, not just coronavirus. It's considered respectful to not spread the yearly flu, to not spread bronchitis, to not spread all those other germs that happen when when we get sick in the winter and such like that. So it's considered respectful to wear a mask and keep your germs closer to yourself. What's wrong? I don't see anything wrong with that. How many times in the winter do you say, you better stay away from me, I don't want to get sick? I mean, that happens. So this is overall like a consideration of let's not get sick. Let's be respectful. Let's keep our germs to ourselves, which is what a mask does, is it restricts the airflow. And if you haven't seen the Bill Nye video of wearing a mask and blowing out candles, I highly recommend it. It's really fun. It's really fun. And then I saw some friends of mine, Sarah, Danielle, April, and Oliver, making their own video of the impacts of wearing a mask and blowing out the candles. And so they tried like a what are those things, like a baklava or whatever you wear around your hair, that thin layer. Dude, that blew out the candle right away. It does not work. T-shirts don't work if you just pull your t-shirt up over your mouth. But what did work was like the cheap masks, like the mask I'm wearing, the cloth mask, the 2-layer cloth mask, 2-layer cloth mask that like people are making at home and selling. Those really do contain the airflow. Like, it's not 100%. Your airflow still goes through. It's not a PPE, but it keeps your air close to your body so you're not contaminating those around you. And it also decreases the speed of the air and how fast it's flowing. So that to me is, that's the impressive part. Like, the speed is keeping your air, your germs right here near you, so that, if you are still social distance and staying away 6 feet, wearing a mask is going to keep your germs, if you have corona, from getting them, or if you have the flu, or if you have bronchitis, or if you have RSV, or whatever viruses that that we spread through respiratory ways. These masks will help. I don't know, just in my opinion, even if we get corona when we get corona vaccine or more under control, I think that masks might become a way of our future, just like the Japanese, because it is respectful to keep your germs to yourself. And that's what masks help with, is washing your hands. Washing your hands and wearing a mask keeps your germs to yourself.
Thank you.
And hell, if it really works and in the long run and I can give someone a hug again, if it requires me wearing a mask. I'll take a mask wearing hug any day. Any day. Yeah, we're going big with these eyes, because this is the mod look. So this is why we're going big here. Putting on tons of eyeliner. All right, next up for the mod look, before I line the lower eyes, I'm actually going to put another light color along the waterline, except for my waterline is watering because I'm sitting outside and I'm allergic to grass. Yes. Oh, my mom just joined me, so she's sitting next to me.
Hi.
So she's listening to me talk about why, you know, masks keep our germs to ourselves. Keep your hands to yourself. Well, keep your germs to yourself. That's what I say. Keep your germs to yourself. And I'm not really a germaphobe. Like, I'm always one that says strengthen my immune system. But I mean, I wash my hands. But I had never been really crazy about a germaphobe. But I kind of feel like masks are going to be part of our future, because spreading disease is something. This is one way to really kind of cut down on spreading that aerosolized or airborne disease. It's one of our key tools in the long run. Okay, I'm just kind of lining that along the bottom of my eye. And it's hard to do when your eyes are watering. But, you know, if you get overwhelmed by all the news, remember to take a break. A lot of those things, no, we're not in control. So, if you skip the news for a little while, unless you're super powerful, unlike me, you're not going to change anything. So you can take a break from the news for a little bit. Because it can get really hard. It can be really hard watching people, you know, not wear... Oh, where did my eyeliner go? It went on the ground. Hold on, everybody. I'll be right back. Hi, everyone. I'm back.
We're trying to miscredit, uncredit, or what?
Mom, we're not talking about these things. We're talking about...
You just talked about it. Fauci.
taking a break from the news.
Can't do it.
My mom can't do it. I got it on the water line. Oops. Oops. Let's see if I can clean that up a little. I do trust the scientists. I really do. And the doctors and the medical people who care about public health. They've been studying this for years and years and years, and they know more about this. So yes, I posted the other day, not yesterday, that if I'm a sheeple for wearing a mask, I would much rather be brainwashed by scientists and people following the scientific method and such than a conspiracy theorist who has no background or training or anything like that. And again, like I said, I really have studied and trained on how to consume mass media and understanding, how you find reliable media. And there is a journalistic ethical code that most journalists follow. They have rules and guidelines. Editorial boards have rules and guidelines that they have to follow. to maintain editorial standards. Look at me, I'm getting everywhere under the waterline. Oh, and I just smeared it all over my hands trying to stick it into the lid. Making a mess. Breaking the law. So, like I said, I really do turn to the New York Times, Washington Post, Atlantic, The Hill, for excellent journalism and what's going on in the world. Excellent journalism that's going on, and they identify what's editorial and what's opinion pieces. They do identify those things, and if they are editorial, they display, make the argument or the case for what they're saying, using sources and facts and different things. These are all important. I mean, sometimes it helps to have someone help you interpret data, an expert interpret data. That's a lot of times what these opinion pieces are, is them interpreting the data. So you want to look at their arguments and question their arguments, but it doesn't mean that it's wrong. And so these are great sources. I highly recommend them. And reading them. And it's cool that, just so you know, the New York Times and I think the Atlantic and the Hill, I don't think Washington Post, they have limited, you can read unlimited numbers of articles, Corona-based articles, during this time, because they feel like it's so important to have access to the Corona information, that they have removed the paywall on Corona-related articles. Salt Lake Tribune did it as well, I believe. If you ever have a question on like news sources and whether or not it's a good news article or something like that, I'm happy to talk with you about it. Like, we can have that conversation. Since, like I said, that's my expertise. Critical theory and mass communication. Movies and news and, that's kind of what I've studied. So I'm happy to share that knowledge with everyone. And if Wikipedia is your go-to, fine. Can't fight the movement of Wikipedia. Go there and then look at the sources and then go to the sources. You can use it as your starting point. But it's not an end point. It's a starting point to find sources. Librarians, they're great. They know so much and will point you on so many different ways to find knowledge. Go to the library. Email the library. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is my mod look. Now, I don't have the big eyes with the deep sockets like famous mods did back in the 50s and 60s, but I still did my little mod look. So hope you enjoy. Hope you all are safe and well, and wear your mask and look fabulous. Bye, everyone.